Hey, it's the Garage to Our Love Show. It's February 1st, 2023. Sitting here in the guest bedroom. Tomorrow night, very significant anniversary of Buddy Holly's last performance, about 200 miles north of here, at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa. You know, Buddy Holly was from Lubbock, Texas, which is like desert. And Richie Valens, who was from Los Angeles, and of course J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper. He's also a Texas guy. They weren't used to this cold, and the drummer in Buddy Holly's band got frostbite, had to be hospitalized on his toes because they were in a bus that was unheated. So about this time tomorrow, 60, however many years that would be, 1959, how many years ago that would be? I think it's like the 64th anniversary. So Buddy Holly chartered a plane, and he just said to hell with that. And they think the pilot just had a new some new gear put in his plane that was the opposite of what he was used to. So instead of going up, he went straight into the ground. Anyway, so who knows what the careers of Buddy Holly would have been like, and the Big Bopper and Richie Valens is just no telling. And so anyway, he performed at the Surf Ballroom, which looks almost exactly as it did that night he performed. I'd like to go visit it, but maybe at a warmer time of year. So they're going to have performances there tomorrow of I think Bill Haley's son or something, and that Slim Jim Phantom that used to be in the Stray Cats and stuff like that. They have like a 3-day music festival of that kind of thing. But anyway, so Buddy Holly actually died on the 3rd of February because it was right after midnight, but it was the night of the 2nd. So that's something to think about because I don't know if you come here just for comic books. I'm so I'm just as much into music and rock and roll and a lot of other things that I am comics. This channel comes across as a comic book channel, and I don't really want it to be that because, man, oh shit, there's still more we have to go through in that other box, isn't there? I'm just so sick of, I hold on a second. Oh, it doesn't matter. When we last were looking at these comics, I think we were looking at these, I call them the art school Doom Patrol comics. The best Doom Patrol comics are going to be 1960s Doom Patrol comics, which I tell you are the greatest thing in the world and as good as anything Marvel was putting out. It's 1960s Doom Patrol. These things are, the Grant Morrison stuff. I have nothing against it. It's just not as great as what came before. This is when Batman Returns was on its way out. The Batman Returns, second Batman movie with Tim Burton. Okay, so they're all real art school looking things. Yeah, I forgot about Bridget Fonda. She retired from movies. She got the hell out of Hollywood. And I'll be showing you some Buddy Holly stuff later on. This one shows the original Doom Patrol. This is the group that I like. I hate these Got Milk ads. They just look disgusting. When they photograph milk in cereal ads in magazines, which they aren't here, they used to have, say you have an ad in a magazine advertising some cereal, and it's got milk poured in it. In still photography, the milk just doesn't look right. So they would use Elmer's glue, and it photographed right. It looked like milk, and it held up under the bright lights. Okay, so here's a Doom Patrol and Suicide Squad special. Now, I guess at this point I'm supposed to talk about James Gunn and his announcement yesterday, what he's going to do with the DC Cinematic Universe. And so he's doing a Superman movie that seems like it's going to have the Superman family in it. I don't know. With James Gunn in charge, I like James Gunn. I really hated that he had that history with the those horrible tweets that he used to do. That was very disappointing, and it wasn't funny, and it was very disturbing, but, you know, whatever, you know, and, you know, he may not agree politically with me, but I like the way he does comic book movies. Sometimes he goes a little bit far, maybe shows a little bit too much male nudity for my taste, but anyway, so he's doing a Superman movie, he's doing a Batman movie, Brave and the Bold, with this new concoction where Batman has a son, and I haven't read any of those comics. I don't know that I have anything against them. They may be wonderfully written. It's just not something I know a lot about, so I'm not going to lie and say I do. He's going to be doing a Creature Commandos movie, which is out of Weird War Tales. I saw a drawing of the Creature Commandos. They weren't the Creature Commandos that I remember. I remember just it was the traditional Dracula, Frankenstein, that kind of thing, with helmets on in World War II. But I think the way that they do the Creature Commandos now in the comics, they're more today, and they're organized by that Amanda Waller, who also has a TV series. I don't know why, but I assume the Amanda Waller show is going to introduce a lot of different heroes and villains. Doesn't seem like an interesting character to me to make a series out of, but I think James Gunn knows what he's doing. The Creature Commandos out of Weird War is supposed to be an animated series, but anyway, picture I saw showed this new group where I saw Frankenstein and Dracula and GI robots with them, but there was some other characters I'm not familiar with. Okay, so we're going through the D's. Here's Doorway to Nightmare #1. This is my off-the-rack copy, which some people call OTR, but that acronym is already used by Old Time Radio, so I won't be using OTR. I'll say it's off the rack or off the spinner rack. I don't like using acronyms. Okay, here's Doorway to Nightmare 2. I think these books are going up in value because, you know, it's good girl art and all that stuff. And I think Madame Xanadu is being used in some way by somebody of some sort. But here we go. So, and this, of course, appeals to, you know, a lot of other audiences, people into goth music and gothic music, you know, and Susie and the Banshees, and people into all that kind of stuff are going to be into these comics. They, you know, whereas they may not be into the traditional superhero stuff. Here's Doorway to Nightmare 4. These are all books I bought when they came out because I was always into horror comics, and of course, having a beautiful woman on the cover is always great too. I think I have this whole series from when they came out. Doorway to Nightmare 5. And here's Dragon Slayer, which, as I recall, was a Disney movie. It was live action. It had stop motion animation. And the thing that was unique about it is it had a glimpse of female nudity in a Disney movie. But now, that was before Disney was known to be a horribly perverse, communist, evil organization, so it's still shocking. Now, what Disney does, you know, you expect the worst from Disney and anything they own. Here's the first issue of Dreadstar. Jim Starlin independent book that was sold only in comic stores. Dreadstar. So that's a way that And then, Dreadstar was later brought over to Marvel. There's a Marvel issue number. Hell if I know. Oh, how about that? First issue. Dreadstar and Company. Here's Dreadstar and Company number 2. All right. When DC brought their prices up to 50 cents, this was a cool comic, Dynamic Classics. I don't see hear people talking about this very much. I don't know if this was just a one-issue thing or if there were some other issues. This is issue 1. It's got Batman and the Manhunter, and if there are other issues, I've got to get them. Yes, indeed. Earth X. Alex Ross. This is a little promotional comic from Wizard. Here's Earth X5. What is this? This is a little, what do you call it? Renticular? Is that the word for this? Is that what it's called? Earth 2. Futures End, DC. I guess that's part of the New 52, maybe. I don't know. Here's Eclipso number 11 with Peacemaker on it. And, I don't know if Peacemaker stuff has gone up in value because of the tremendous TV show, or if Eclipso stuff has gone up because of his appearance in the second season of Stargirl, which Stargirl was an outstanding series. It's been canceled. It was great. A family can watch it. Peacemaker I thought was great too, although played fast and loose with the comic, but it was great, and families cannot watch it. Electric Warrior. Honestly, I don't even know what this is. I'll be honest with you. The Elektra Saga. Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. Okay, what do we have here? I seem to have a whole bunch of Elektra comics that are not here, but they're somewhere. Oh, this is lovely. Mature, violent content. And so, that's, let's see if I can find some of the mature, violent content. It's, yeah, well, trust me, it has some mature, violent content in it. Isn't that exciting? There we go. Right after 9/11, they had this little thing to show that commemoration of 9/11, which now the politicians say was nothing. It's because January 6th was worse. That's the Democrats say. January 6th was worse than 9/11. It's like, wow, really? 3,000 people died? No, that's how they think, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I just noticed that After Comics put up a room tour a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just now seeing it. It was amazing. Nobody tells me anything, man. This is representing the Elektra Saga, part 1 of 2. So, how about that? Here's Marvel reprinting Elfquest. I've got a bunch of these. That's 1, 2. These aren't that valuable. I wouldn't think these are worth more than $6-7. That's 3. This is there were groups of people, I started talking about this last episode, that played Dungeons and Dragons. And they were usually guys, a little overweight or massively overweight, that memorized every episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus and memorized every episode of Saturday Night Live and recited every line the following Monday at school. And these were people that would later get into computers once computers came along. But they were into computers a little bit because they had the TRS-80 out, here's number 7. So they were into that, And they got into this Dungeons and Dragons game. And I had friends that got into it, but I stayed back. I didn't really want to spend the whole weekend in their sweaty rooms playing that game. And I just thought, man, I'm a nerd enough. I don't want to go down that hole with them. But anyway, they'd be... there were the regular nerds, and then there were the sinful nerds. And they were the nerds they were the ones that went to the Rocky Horror Picture Show every Friday or Saturday night at the midnight show and dressed up with the stockings and everything. And they were usually... They were nerds, but they were into a little bit extra stuff. And so sometimes in these Dungeons and Dragons group, there'd be like this one girl that would hang out in the Dungeons and Dragons group. And sometimes she'd be, about 4 feet tall and look like a hobbit, or she'd, be kind of husky, but they were nerd women that couldn't really hang out with normal people, so they're hanging out with the Dungeons and Dragons group, and those are probably the main audience for Elfquest. And they're the same. There's always been nerd women, they're into this stuff. Most women are not into comic books, but sometimes you can find pretty women that are into comics, but don't trust it because there's usually, I don't know. Don't trust it. I don't know, but it's the same women that would write fan fiction about Kirk and Spock having sex, and that were so into, Barnabas Collins and all of his dalliances on Dark Shadows, and they would write, sometimes they would write episodes of Star Trek, and they would, there was always been a few women in science fiction fandom and that would be into all this. And it's sometimes they were the daughters of science fiction writers and stuff. I don't know. There were never many women into comics ever. All this stuff with all these women at the San Diego convention, all dressed up like Red Sonja and different superheroes. Those women aren't into comics. Those are strippers or something that have somehow gotten into that shit. Okay, so we're getting into the exciting comic, The Eternals, that was made into that hit motion picture. The Eternals was a book. This is the copy I picked. I didn't pick up 1. This is issue 2. I picked it up at the 7-Eleven. I love Jack Kirby, of course. But is this Jack Kirby's finest hour? No, I don't think so. And it was turned into a terrible movie that bore really no resemblance to this comic book. Maybe a couple of the names and the name of the comic is the same as the movie, but it was... did that movie look anything like that, I ask you? Of course it didn't. So it looks like I have that copy of 4 and then a beat-up copy of 4. And these shot up in value, and then when that movie came out and lay there like a dog turd drying in the sun. No offense, Drew. Drew's my dog sitting here next to me on the bed. These comics dropped back down in value. But for a little while, these comics, all the speculators were, and that's there's so little comic book entertainment on YouTube that isn't speculators and people There's a guy, it's like, I just got these 300 slabs back from CGC. We're going to look at them. It's like, why? It's fine. If you want to encase all your books in plastic and just look at them and not ever actually read the books, do what thou wilt. As that fucking idiot Klaus Schwab said, or what was his name? Aleister Crowley. The most evil man alive. Oh, this one's got some... This one's kind of folded up here. It's number 7. They showed that in the movie. Isn't that exciting? Here's number 8. If the movie had looked like that with these bright colors and Jack Kirby monsters and stuff, it would have been fantastic. But it's like I think this character was a girl. I mean, everybody had everything changed about them, so it was unrecognizable. And that's the end of my Eternals collection, except for this king-size annual. These all came out kind of right before Star Wars, I think. And then they'd occasionally try to bring back the Eternals, but without Kirby. Here's the beginning of some miniseries, a 12-issue series, which is the only one I've got. And then there's this book that I never really read. I got this one because it has a John Carter, Warlord of Mars, kind of pastiche. Excalibur, which is, I assume, kind of a British version of X-Men. Oh, here's an X-Men pillow. Look at that, from the 1990s that Drew just threw on the floor like a savage. And what do we have here? Excalibur, X-Men No More. So this must be something I got out of a quarter bin. It's a weird-looking book. I don't know much about Excalibur. Shit, I'm not treating this book too well, am I? I'm sure it's wonderful. I just don't, I never read it. I loved X-Men, and then X-Men turned into Richie Rich and had 40 million different titles, and I just like, hey man, I'll go collect records, Buddy Holly records, and bring up Buddy Holly again to kind of keep the tone of the show going. I've got to go cook dinner or do something. And then tonight, I'll be on the Four Color Fossils show with Graphic Man. Here's a book, Fables. I've been told it's good. I picked up a few issues here and there. I'm sure I won't be able to understand it without getting more of them. But it's from DC's Vertigo line. So Vertigo is more adult stuff, as you can tell from this cover. This is different. That's Fables, and this is Fairest. But I think they're all fairy tale kind of stuff, and that's a great cover. I don't know who this artist is, but that's. I remember I bought this at Duncanville Books just because I was flipping through, and it's like, because they always have these stickers. I thought that's a pretty good cover, So I thought maybe I'll figure out. Maybe this is a good comic. I don't know. I mean, it's possible for new comics to be good. It is really possible. It's just, but right now, the bills and everything, we're pretty much staying flat broke, and I'm trying to dig myself out of it. I mean, the house is paid for, but the electric bill is incredibly high, and everything, food, everything, because we've got people in charge that are trying to wreck the economy, send all our weapons over to a foreign country so that the Chinese can more easily take over. TikTok is weakening the youth and everything. But we're just kind of waiting until new president comes along and changes things. Then maybe, people think it's so funny. It's like, eggs are so expensive. I'm going to do a little meme where someone's getting engaged by giving a carton of eggs instead of an engagement ring. Yeah, that's real funny until you're someone that's not It's just, that's not funny. It's all these people think that kind of shit's funny. Yeah. Just wait. Things are going to get a lot worse than paying $8 for eggs. Here's another one of these covers that's good girl art. Okay, and then in the 90s, this is typical of the 90s. These comics, it's like, what is this? I picked it up it's like Fantastic Force. It's got this, is it Franklin Richards and some other people that I've never heard of? Vibraxass. I don't know who Vibraxass is, and Psylord Devlore. I guess it's a wraparound cover. Amazing. Here's issue 4 of Fantastic Force. Does that look exactly like the other cover? I mean, I don't see any difference hardly. I'm not a big fan of the 90s. Here's number 5. That's what the 90s look like, man. I've got too many of these that I picked up in the quarter bin or 50-cent bin or something. I don't know. There's Stargate video game. My wife tells me Stargate is a good movie. I've never seen it. Okay, Fantasy Masterpieces. You probably know it as an amazing 60s comic. Well, this is the 70s Fantasy Masterpieces that reprinted the Silver Surfer comic, which is probably the only way I'll ever be able to afford. I really officially am out of the comic book market. I can't afford... If I was to spend $10 on comics this month, it would be ridiculously foolhardy. Now, I've got to order at some point, maybe... It might be a couple of weeks before I can do it, but I've got to order a few books from Gotham City Comics in Mesa, Arizona, because he's got a whole box on hold for me. But these are just not good times for Dr. Orloff, man. It's just, if anyone wants a painting, I'm open for commissions. I can do paintings for you, and I might have extra comics, Sometimes I'll find I've got 3 or 4 copies of this issue. I have no idea why. Then I will be glad to, as I've got to do some. I'll look at the ad for ROM. Yeah, these aren't good times. I'm not I'm hoping they'll raise my retirement amount. They'll give me a cost of living increase, but I understand they haven't done that in 18 years, so why would they do it this year? 7. That's 7. Okay, so they basically were reprinting the Silver Surfer series, which was always popular with hippies in the 60s, but it didn't really sell that well, I think because it was more expensive than the other comics because it was thicker. So here they are 10 years later trying to sell it, and it's got... they also put Warlock reprints in the back. So it's a little double dose of Cosmic Marvel. There's number 11. I was picking up all these because I couldn't afford the 60s ones, and it looks like I'm missing 12 and 13, but I have 14. And then... I don't know what this is. I don't know much about modern comics. This is 52. I got it because I love the Metal Men. And you can see if you look at these bullets being shot, they're the Metal Men. With Professor Magnus there, like a James Bond. So I thought maybe that'll be cool. Let's see. Week 1, Armageddon. Final night 1. Drew is acting like she is hungry, right, Drew? Okay, I think Drew needs some food. Okay. Drew, are you hungry? I think so. I thought I gave her a food just now, or did I? I bought her some food, but let's get her some food. Let me sit you down right here. I'll be right back. Well, I've been watching shows on YouTube where people have spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of dollars on buying key issues of slabbed comics. And they appreciate the covers, but they've never seen the inside of the comics and don't seem to know a lot about them. And, but oh well. To each their own, I guess, I'm not gonna, but I don't know. I'm more entertained by shows like what Dr. Silver Age does, where he tells about the experience of buying these comics when they were new and all that, and Graphic Man's Wednesday night show, which I try to appear on every week. This is some miniseries that honestly I haven't read yet. I just bought it recently, right before I moved. If you can tell me in the comments down below, is this worth reading? I don't know, you just pick up stuff out of the dollar bin. It's like, maybe that's okay, You kind of want it to be good. Here's a character that didn't start in comic books. It started as a character in a really bad Spider-Man cartoon. I remember being at a J.C. Penney in the late 70s in a mall with my mom, and they said, we're going to have a special preview of a new Spider-Man animated series, and Spider-Man's going to be there in J.C. Penney's. And it's like, so we went, and it was like a back room of the J.C. Penney's, and they showed or projected up Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which is, I guess, something Stan Lee did when he moved to Los Angeles. And then it was like Spider-Man and Iceman from the X-Men and a new character, Firestar, this red-haired girl. And this is an attempt to bring her from the Saturday morning cartoon to comics. And, oh man, I thought she was completely naked there for a moment. Sorry, I was a little shocked. It's like, what are you doing, Marvel? No, she's wearing clothing. Issue 3. The artwork is very bland and pedestrian. Could be the writing's okay, I don't know. I haven't read those yet, I just bought those as well. Here's something I bought when it came out on the newsstand. Firestorm #1. Now Firestorm started as a character in the comics. He was later added to the Super Friends in the later years. But Firestorm is that's when Superman fought Muhammad Ali. Yeah, it's Firestorm. That's issue 1. I was remember picking these up. But maybe this new character will be cool too. Issue 2. Yeah. Oh wow, look at this. It's like a cover from House of Mystery or something. Look at the skeletons in the background. Yeah, this I remember liking this. I haven't read it in like 60 years, but I remember enjoying it. Damn, pretty good. Firestorm, the Nuclear Man. Jimmy Carter pronounced it nuclear. I remember that. So that's 5. Oh, and then they relaunched it. That was one of the early examples of them starting a comic over. I never liked that. Now it's commonplace with everything. Now it's called The Fury of Firestorm. It's number 3. They knew they had a good character. I guess they just thought it wasn't selling, but let's give it another try. Fury of Firestorm number 5. There's that Dungeons and Dragons shit. I don't know. It was just like people joined into that Dungeons and Dragons. It's like they became part of a cult, and then you never saw that your friends anymore because they were always playing that game, and it's like, it's too complicated, man. I got to read all these manuals and books, and it involves math. Who wants to play a game with all this math you've got to do? Those Bill Gates kind of perverts. 20. I know they need to be bagged and boarded. I know that. I'm quite aware of it. Will I ever be able to afford buying bags and boards? I have no idea. Doesn't look like it. Here's 24. There's a special preview of Blue Devil. You know, another comic I don't know much about that apparently they're doing it. I don't remember if they're doing it as a movie or a TV series. Is Booster Gold from DC? That's something that James Gunn announced he was doing. Here's out of the dollar bin, 38. Here's 39. Looks like I have 2 copies of 39. These aren't ones I bought as a kid. I bought that first series, the second series. Oh, look at that. I should show this tonight. This Gilkane, you can see that's a really good nostril shot. Oh, okay, now we get to first issue special. This is a cool comic. This is first issue special number 2. The Green Team. There's apparently a comic out now. It takes all the characters that appeared in first issue special and brings them back in one comic. But I'm sure they're all transgender now or something. Okay, that's 2. Number 3 was an attempt to bring back Metamorpho, the Element Man, which is a character I dearly loved. And they brought back Ramona Fredon. Over here. Yeah. This book is not in stellar condition. I'd love to upgrade it. Will that ever happen? Of course it won't. You know, I'm aware of that. 3. I mean, if a garage sale happens near me and there are comics, I'll be interested. But I can't seek, if they're cheap, I can't seek out comics anymore. I just am quite aware that's not something I can afford during the Biden regime. Number 6, I remember buying this in San Antonio, Texas when I was a youngster. It's a Jack Kirby thing, Dingbats of Danger Street. He's trying to do the West End kids. That. The Gasser. It's oh no, it's the East Side Kids. What am I saying? Did I say the West End? West End was this ritzy area in Dallas where all the yuppies went. East Side Kids was Hunts Hall, all that. Sorry, it was a little bit before my time. Dingbats of Danger, which is no, really, not really an excuse. Okay, number 7 was the Creeper. Wow. And it has Steve Ditko art. Astounding. So that's number 7. Number 8 is not in my collection. Number 9, Dr. Fate. This could be your head. It's Nancy Pelosi's head, but it could be yours as well. Okay, so Dr. Fate. This is, looks like I've got 2 copies of this. Hopefully this one's in better shape. No, this one is not in better shape necessarily. They're both in kind of crummy shape. But, you know, there's a epidemic of strep throat here. And there might even be some mononucleosis going around. So I'm trying to avoid that. 10, I remember buying this in 4th grade. Are you ready for The Outsiders? Oh, wow. Look at this cool art. Wow. Damn, this is cool. Why did this not make it? Lizard Johnny, The Amazing Ronnie, Harry, Larry, Old Doc Scary, and Mighty Mary. It's Joe Simon, the co-creator of Captain America. He would try, it's one of his attempts to be hip with the younger generation. Check out Brother Power the Geek from the 60s. That was another one, which is, according to the Monster Times, one of the worst comics ever made, but I find it highly entertaining. Here's Starman. Wow. The hell is that? I see that, and I saw a Hostess cupcake, but that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be drinking from a bowl. I see that pattern. I think the icing on a Hostess cupcake. You can tell I had a very nutritious, balanced diet as a youngster. I was 12. And then 13, it was Return of the New Gods, which is, man, I remember buying this back then. It's in terrible shape. I can't explain it. Return of the New Gods. Okay, so Jack Kirby was already gone, but they were trying to use his characters. Sound familiar? Okay, and then there's Fist of the North Star, which shouldn't be in here because I only have Marvel and DC here, and I need to put this in with the independent stuff. These are translated manga, but this is, the manga people frown on these because they're not the right size. They've changed it where you read it like a normal person instead of like a normal person. In Japan, they read backwards, which maybe I was Japanese in a past life, because whenever I'd buy a new issue of a magazine or a comic, I'd always flip through backwards. And it could have been because of Famous Monsters of Filmland. To me, the most exciting part was the back with all the ads. So maybe that's why but I don't know. I always seem to flip through, or I used to do that. Okay. 5-star Superhero Spectacular. What a great cover. Look at that. Batman story. Oh, there's a Green Lantern. I don't know if it's I think it's a TV series that James Gunn is doing called Lanterns or something. I think with Hal Jordan, and there's an Aquaman. James Gunn says this Flash movie that's coming out, it could be the greatest superhero movie of all time. He says it's really amazing. This one that's coming out with that guy that everyone hates, but he says it sets up the whole, what they're doing with there's a reprint of the Golden Age Flash. Okay, so we're moving into the Flash, it would appear. Now my Silver Age Flash, that's in the other room here. So we start my Bronze Age Flash run with issue 214, which is one of these glorious 100-page spectaculars. So that's 214. Oh, wow. It's got to be Ernie Chan. 221. Look at that. That artwork. It's just so, I love it. So I know it has to be Ernie Chan. Watch me be wrong. This book, 223, really has the look of a Silver Age book, even though it's Bronze Age. It just, I love that. Just love this, man. This feels very Silver Age. Okay, I need to get more Flash books. Okay, we got some 100-page giants here. Here's 229. I love the Golden Age Flash appearing. Here's 232. Here is 238. We may get to the Ghost Rider books today. $240. We're up to the 30-cent era. Yep. Ernie Chua, also known as Ernie Chan. He did so much glorious art for DC during this time period. And then he also worked for Marvel doing Conan and stuff like that later on. Here's another great Ernie Chan cover. This is, I think, the first issue of The Flash I bought off the newsstand. I'm pretty sure. This is definitely my childhood copy. Oh, they're doing a Swamp Thing movie, too. I thought that Swamp Thing series they did a couple of years ago was good, but we only got to see one or maybe 1.5 episodes. And then they canceled it before the first season was even finished or finished being shot, and then they just combined the last 2 episodes. I don't know what the deal was with that. Oh man, this one's trashed. 244. This is not a childhood copy. This was read by a kid that did not appreciate. See, it's got an Ernie Chan cover. Yeah, some kids didn't treat their comics very well. This one I bought when it came out. Love it. Also Ernie Chan. Someday people will appreciate his art. That day is not yet. 246 is a Neil Adams cover. Amazing. 249. These the last few are ones that I bought as a kid. Looks like I have several copies of this issue. This is 250. Meet Flash's newest foe, the Golden Glider. I really love the Flash. I really did. Here's an ad for Shade the Changing Man, which was a Steve Ditko, very strange comic. And then they tried to bring that back, and it was as kind of an art school comic. Maybe I don't have 2 copies of that. It's just another one with the same. Oh, I love the colors on this. 253. I love the sky. Sometimes you'll go to a high school or a junior high school football game around October, and you'll see that sky in the background. At least you would in Texas. I don't know about here, maybe here too. There's been some beautiful skies. I filmed a beautiful sky one morning when I was going to get breakfast, and I drove past the local cemetery, and there was a sky like this, and I filmed a little 30-second video, put it on YouTube. I don't know if any of you saw it. Here's another copy of the same one, but that's beat up. Okay. This one, I remember buying this one. This is $2.54. Here's Superman promoting the Special Olympics. Did you see that man dressed as Xena, warrior princess, coming out and ice skating and falling the other night? It was a what do you call him? Trans person. He, she, that he, they, them person that comes out, and it's just a man dressed with the Xena warrior princess stuff, and she just falls over, and it's like, it's all right, it's beautiful. 254. 255. You gotta watch Salty Cracker on YouTube. I don't know how he stays on YouTube. It's amazing what he gets away with. I mean, he can skewer the news. I would just think that would be so offensive to the average idiot that they would complain and he would be gone, but somehow he stays on. Oh, I remember this one, 258. Yeah, there's the Flash. In the 60s, there was a run of Flash comics where he was dead on every cover, or he was a bum on a bench, or he was just about every issue. He was a skeleton, he was dead. And they did that with a lot of their heroes. I think the younger writers came in and they were embarrassed that they're writing these heroes that their dads had read when they were kids, Superman, Batman. They wanted to, spice it up and show these establishment. These are the establishment. Let's kill them, just have them killed in every issue, or humiliated. And that's kind of what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing. All the male heroes get humiliated, and then teenage girls take over and are much better at what they're doing than they are. And then they just kill off the character, or he just, surrenders to the girl who takes over their hammer or their name or whatever. 266. That's their way to be inclusive and diverse. Here's the Joker selling milk duds. They had Dr. Doom selling them over in Marvel about this time. I showed you that last episode. But you can get your high school ring here. Especially, it's probably for high school dropouts to impress people. Look, I graduated from high school. 267. I always loved the fact that he could, his costume was inside his ring, and that it would expand when it touched the air, and I thought that was great. Fantastic. I think they did that in the Flash TV series. That I watched some of that, kind of liked a little of it. What I saw, I didn't go too far into it. 268. Oh, there's a Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow movie being made by James Gunn too. Oh, look at this. Next month. Watch this space for full details concerning the second Superman the Movie contest. So you could be in Superman the movie. How do you like? Shit. Really nice printing there, DC. How do you like that? Okay, that was Flash 268. Flash 269. I just need to sit around and read comics, but no, I don't have much time anymore because I'm working every day trying to survive in Joe Biden's world. 270. But I'm enjoying it. 270. Did I just show you 270? Yes, I have 2 copies of 270. Amazing. Look at these guys reading World's Finest. Do they look like they're in a cult or what? Give me that Kool-Aid. Hostess Twinkies. That's what you'll look like if you eat too many of them. 270. Yeah, it's taken me a little while. I guess I have more Flash comics than I realized. 271. Well, there's very sad news about Lisa Loring, the original Wednesday Addams, passing away the other day. When I was born, the Addams Family was finishing its first season. So was the Munsters. I was born in April of '65. So both those series started in September of '64. So they were just finishing up their first season. And, you know, she wasn't that much older than me, maybe 7 years old. She couldn't have been more than 7 in the TV show. But anyway, she led a rough life. I didn't realize she was on a soap opera later. Well, she married a porn star, that guy Jerry Butler, the guy that named himself after a famous musician. And that's kind of a scummy thing to do. You just figure someone that marries a porn star, they're living kind of a fast 1980s lifestyle, you know, with but, you know, there's a lot of that happening lately. A lot of people that are younger than, well, we won't get into that. 288. It's kind of obvious what's going on. 306, but you're not supposed to talk about that. 306. But go back and watch Bill Gates' TED Talk, where he was talking about how we need to have zero population. Not supposed to talk about that. So, these evil mad scientists, you know, these comic books were always right about the evil mad scientist and the James Bond movies and everything. This stuff wasn't really that. They really are out there, man. 324. Oh well. 3. Ooh, my eyes are going on me. 336. And then, oh, this is sad. They ended the series with issue 350. You know, they're all in tears. Goodbye, Flash. Double-sized last issue. Well, that sucks. And then there's this $1978 comic, The Flash Spectacular, which I remember buying. And then they started The Flash over. This is The Flash #1. Like I say, I'm not big on them starting things over, but I guess this was after the Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that. Flash 8. This is Flash 9. This is some guy named The Chunk, which is just wait, 8, 9, 11. I guess there's 27. There's some of the monsters. Got to be in the 90s now. Has to be. Look at the way way they drew this girl there. Looks like something out of an old cartoon. I guess that's the chunk up there. I mean, I don't know. Kind of like a Fat Albert villain. It's kind of a little bit shocking. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing at this point. Here's the Flash number 10. What? And then there's a 9 after 10. How many count? Oh, these are way out of order. Okay. 10 should be before 11. 11 should be 9. Oh. There's a newsstand versus direct distribution. It would be this way in the comic store, and then the comic store version looks like that. The newsstand version, the numbers are bigger. So, got to get both, right? It's ridiculous. It's also ridiculous. Okay. 14, Vandal Savage cover. I guess the fucking heck? What the heck? 14. Okay, here's 15. And then we have number 7. So that's not right. So then you have to go back. See, this is why partly why I'm doing this. I got to get this in order. Okay, 14. Did I just show you this? 15? I think I did. And then there's another copy of 9. I must, like, whenever I see this in a quarter bin or 50-cent or dollar bin, I must have got it just because the cover is so outrageous. It's like, what are they thinking, man? 12. Drew has returned, probably seeking more sustenance. 12. Okay. What is this? Oh, Flash number 8. Okay. So I'm getting things in order. Oh, okay, we're finally almost done. Flash 22. And then I guess this is the same run. They're making it look like a Golden Age comic, sort of. That's what they're attempting to do. The Flash 161. Okay, and then that brings me into a DC Flash Gordon comic that doesn't really look like, that doesn't look like Ming the Merciless at all. What they're trying to do is make Ming not look Asian so that it's not a racial stereotype. And, you know, I don't know. I guess it's maybe trying to look a little bit like the movie. But certainly not looking like Alex Raymond. Then, well, there's more Flash Gordon. Okay, all right. This is done by Marvel, and they've got Al Williamson doing it here. So Al Williamson's doing it more in the Alex Raymond style. So this is a far superior product. Yeah, it looks like a real Flash Gordon book. And I just have number 1. I assume there might be others. And then that's then I have this Flintstones, but I put all the Hanna-Barbera under H, so I need to move that to the H's. Here's Forbidden Tales of Dark Mansion. This is a great gothic horror comic. This is issue 6. It's the only one I've got. No, it isn't. I have another one. Number 7. Realm of the Mystic. Man, this dog's still hungry. This dog's gonna fuck up my whole show, man. Okay, hold on. I'll go get you some food. This is gonna fucking kill me, man. And then I apparently have 2 copies of that. And the next thing is another one of these 90s comics called Force Works. One of these gimmick comics, which has Iron Man and Spider-Woman. The 90s just was pretty horrible looking. Compared to what I was used to, it's just not what I was used to. If you grew up in the 90s, then this is like your wonderful time that gives you wonderful flutterings. But this to me was like the decline of what I loved. And I have too many copies of it. Yes, I'll feed you. Let me finish with these gosh darn Forceworks comics. She's going to take a chunk out of one of them. Watch. All right, now we're ready for the 70s Forever People comics. But I need to feed her at least one more food. How are we doing time-wise? We're at an hour and 6 minutes. All right, I'll be right back. Okay. Well, we're back. Yeah, she was still hungry. It's about 5:30, and an hour and a half Graphic Man show will start. By the time this show gets put up on the air, it'll be probably right after that show's over. Okay, I'm trying to finish this box. Oh, okay, here we go. I guess the other Forever People comics I count as Silver Age. This is the only 20-cent one I have. I have others in the Silver Age box. Okay, here was a comic I really loved. 4-Star Spectacular. This is issue 1. It reprints great old DC stories with this great Ernie Chan cover. Here's issue 2. Remember, I showed these a couple of years ago. I think a couple of years ago when I lived in Texas, and I remember Crypt Keeper of Castle Hills was inspired by this to go and pick some of these up from mycomicshop.com. Now, mycomicshop.com is back in my hometown. Not my hometown. San Antonio is really my hometown where he lives, but where I lived from 1976, basically, except for 1 year, until, last April. I was living in Arlington, Texas, where Lone Star Comics was based out of, mycomicshop.com. They're having horrible snow and ice there now, and it's fine here. It warmed up to the 30s. Yesterday it was like 1 degree in the morning, so I could certainly understand how Buddy Holly felt, when they were freezing in a bus with no heat. Yeah, this is just a great book. See, it's giant size, and it's got all these reprints from old 60s and 50s comics. It's fantastic. And they had there's an ad for the Superboy Legion of Superheroes and the Flash race. Well, they weren't treasuries. Marvel called them treasuries. DC called them, I think, special limited editions. This is the one I first bought when I was a kid. The other ones I bought later. I remember. Look at this great. They all have great Ernie Chan art on the covers. That's 5. Oh, here's 6 with an evil crypto. That's about what Drew was about to do to me if I didn't feed her. And then there's this comic where the Punisher is combined with Frankenstein, Frankencastle. This is a modern comic from, I don't know, the 2000s. Yeah, 2010, because here's a video game based on Iron Man 2. And then DC did this Frankenstein Agent of Shade. And I picked these out of the $2 bin because I was interested. Is this any good? Maybe you guys can tell me. It's part of their new 52. And I thought, well, I love Frankenstein. I love Secret Agents. Maybe this isn't too shitty. It's kind of cool. There's a cringing girl that's a creature from the Black Lagoon. So that's kind of cool. So yeah. Here's number 4. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, here's number 5. So yeah. Here's number 6. I pick up so yeah because I see it on every video on YouTube. People say so yeah. So I just start saying it all the time as a mantra, much to the chagrin of my wife. I just walk up the stairs going, so yeah, so yeah, so yeah. She said, I heard you coming. I heard you saying, so yeah. What the fucking heck? Okay, this is another Frankencastle. I guess it's in the wrong spot. Frankencastle, number 16. I have 2 copies of that issue. I'm sure it's a highly collectible key issue. So if anyone needs a copy of that key issue, I have 2 copies of it. So yeah. Okay, let me see where we're at on this Frankenstein Agent of Shade. Yeah, tell me if this is any good. It's something else I picked up right as I was moving, and I just threw it into a box because I didn't have time to read it because I already showed you these. Did I show you this? Fear of the Monster Planet. If this is great, then it's going to be highly entertaining. If it's shitty, then, well, I've wasted a little bit of money, not an exorbitant amount. This one's a pretty good cover. I mean, look at that art. That art's not bad. Anyway, I'm hoping this isn't just like every other modern comic, and it's just not, just a bunch of political propaganda bullshit. Okay. Fred Himbeck Destroys the Marvel Universe. Oh, here we go. Wish this was bagged up. Shit. This is my childhood copy of Freedom Fighters. A little beat up from being on the newsstand. This is Golden Age heroes. World War II went wrong and the other side won, and they're that's what I remember from reading this about 70 years ago in 1977 or whatever it came out. 76 it looks like. Yeah, tail end of 76. DC Comics salutes the bicentennial. Now let's see, that's 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I have the whole run. I'm pretty sure I don't. This is 4. Look at that Rolling Stones new album ad. Yeah, the Rolling Stones, I think I've told you, they're in the studio recording another album. Here's another copy of number 4. We're almost done with this box. Okay, that was what? 4, so I'm missing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I have 10, so I'm missing 4 issues. I wasn't the richest 6th grader, I suppose. What was that? 10. Okay, I'm missing 11 and 12. Here's 13. Oh, look at this. From Beyond the Unknown. I think I saw this being shown on the Saturday morning show that Shannon and Dr. Silverage do. Someone was showing it because it's one of these collages with a photograph mixed with, those are real cars, and then that's a drawn car. I guess you can tell that. And it reprints these science fiction stories. Fantastic stuff. This is From Beyond the Unknown, number 22. So yeah. Okay. Oh, here's a Modern Freedom Fighters, number 5, which I remember Eric Breen telling me the last time I showed these is good. I think it's what he said. Okay, so here's another From Beyond the Unknown, number 25. I need to get more of these, clearly. I have some that are in the Silver Age box. Here's Marvel Comics Group Fun and Games. So, guess the gloves. Yeah, so I guess you gotta get one that hasn't been actually drawn in by a kid. It's probably gonna be hard to do. Okay, so Raiders of the Lost Ark. This was the movie adaptation of a great movie. I mean, a classic. So I guess there were 2 issues of that, and then Marvel continued on with the further adventures of Indiana Jones. And some of these, this has John Byrne art, but I could have sworn Steve Ditko does some art in one of these, whether I have that issue or not. Okay, number 3. Let's see if I can't find that. Here's 5. Look at this high-tech Star Wars video game you could get. Okay, is it 6? Probably not. I don't know how many issues. No, this isn't Steve Ditko. I don't know how many issues that Ditko did, but then I have all the way to 21. I bet this is the one that Ditko did. Or, yeah, definitely Ditko art. Hopefully it's the only one he did, because I don't want to have to go seeking out another issue. Yeah, okay. Now we're getting into a dirty Nick Fury comic. Parental advisory, explicit content. You know, they were like, that was the big thing, you know, because the PMRC came along, these bunch of Democrat wives, the wife of Al Gore, and I guess some Republican wives of senators got together and they were crusading against heavy metal and rap music. But I remember Run DMC had a warning on there, you know, and of course that means that kids would want that CD more. So Marvel started doing it. So that means this is going to be like ultra gory, and there's probably going to be boobies in it. You know, Nick Fury looks more like a nasty character. Let's see if we can find the offensiveness in it. Okay. We got some horribly deformed soldier, but where's the violence? Come on. Yeah, it was just I mean, did they really think adults were reading this, or they were probably just looking for a way to, you know, get kids to buy it by making it look, oh, it's adult. I'm not supposed to have this. So basically, it turns out to be like kind of like what James Gunn did with the last Suicide Squad movie. You know, a real hardcore R-rated version of something that was originally for kids. There's another one of these adult ones. Let's see if we can find an example of the. Because I remember it goes pretty far. That one didn't have any. Come on. Well, he twists this guy's head right around. But I remember more shocking stuff than that. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. We're in the early, what does that say? 2001. This is a. Oh yeah, let me see this kind of stuff. It's